Okay, so your business is killing it at home, and now you're starting to look at the global stage. It's a really exciting thought, right? But here's the thing. Expanding internationally is one of the biggest, most critical decisions you will ever make. So let's break down how to actually get it right.
This question, it's a big one. You've got this amazing product. There's a whole new market just waiting for you. But how are you going to get there? And trust me, this isn't just about shipping and logistics. Your answer to this question is going to define your company's future. Everything from your risks to your profit potential to your entire international strategy. It's a massive decision, and we're going to break down how to make the smart choice.
First things first, let's get our terms straight. We're talking about your entry mode. That sounds a little academic, but all it really means is your game plan, the specific way you'll set up shop in a new country. And as Professor Plinio Montero points out, this might just be the single most important decision an international company makes. Why? Because it directly affects all the opportunities and all the risks waiting for you.
Now, wouldn't it be great if there was just one best way to enter a new market? But of course, it's not that simple. Instead, I want you to think of it as a spectrum of choices. And every single option along that spectrum comes with a core trade-off.
And here it is. This is the fundamental trade-off, the balancing act you always have to perform. It's between three things: control, risk, and investment. These three are always connected. You want more control? Well, you're probably going to have to take on more risk and a bigger investment. Getting this balance right, that is the secret sauce to a successful international strategy.
This table here lays it out perfectly. Okay, so on one end, you've got export modes. This is where you're putting in low investment, taking on low risk, but the trade-off is you have very little control over your product once it leaves your hands. Then all the way at the other end, you've got hierarchical modes. This is where you go all in and build your own operations. You get maximum control, which is great, but it also means high risk and a huge investment. And right there in the middle, you have what we call intermediate modes. Think partnerships, where you're sharing the control, the risk, and the investment. So how on earth do you decide where your company fits on this spectrum? Well, it's not a guessing game. There's actually a strategic framework that can help you weigh all the factors and find the perfect approach for your business. Think of it as your strategic toolkit. Okay, I know this might look a little overwhelming at first, but stick with me because it's an incredibly powerful tool. Basically, it lays out all the key factors that influence your decision. These factors will either push you towards internalizing your operations, that's the high investment, high control path, or externalizing them with lower risk options like exporting. So let's break down the key parts of this. First, you gotta look in the mirror at your own company's DNA. Are you a huge firm with deep pockets? You can probably handle a bigger investment. Do you have a ton of experience in international markets? You'll probably feel more comfortable taking on more control. And what about your product itself? If it's super complex or involves some unique tech you've patented, you are not going to want to just hand that over to a partner. All of that pushes you towards a more hands-on, high-control approach. Next up, you need to think about your strategic goals. What's your company's personality? What's your appetite for risk? If you're pretty cautious, you'll probably lean towards those safer export modes. But if you're the kind of company that needs to control every single pixel of your brand experience, you're almost certainly looking at the high-control, hierarchical modes. And hey, what if you want the flexibility to pivot to get in and out of markets quickly? Then you'll want to avoid tying up a ton of money in a factory overseas. And finally, you have to look outside your own window at the market itself. Is the culture just totally different from your home country? Well, that's a risk, and it might push you towards a lower commitment entry. But what if that market is huge and growing like crazy? That could absolutely justify a much bigger investment. Things like high import taxes might even force your hand and make you build a local factory. The key takeaway here is that the market can either pull you in for a major investment or push you to keep a safe distance. All right, theory's great, but let's see how this all works in the real world. We're going to take our framework and apply it to a really fascinating and, complex market: Brazil. So here's what's so interesting. Look at how the different factors from our framework play against each other in Brazil. First off, it has a huge market and often pretty high trade barriers. Right away, those two things are strong arguments for a high investment approach, like building your own factory. Then add in the fact that some sectors have pretty low competition, and the case for going all in gets even stronger. And even though there's a significant cultural gap, which normally would suggest a lower risk approach, the other factors are just so powerful that they often win out. And what do you know? This is exactly what we see happening in the real world. Tons of international companies, especially in big industries like cars and electronics,
They choose to build their own production facilities right there in Brazil. The framework we just walked through predicted it perfectly. The external factors, the market realities, make a high-control, high-investment approach the most logical choice.
So, we've covered the theory, we've seen it in action with a real-world example. Now, let's bring it all back home. Let's bring it back to you and your business. What's the right global move for you? It really all comes back to this spectrum of choice. You can dip your toes in the water with exporting. It's fast, it's low risk. You can find a local company and partner up to share the risks and the rewards. Or you can go all in, build your own operations, and take full control of your international future. There is no single right answer, only the right answer for your specific company and your specific situation.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. We're not just talking about some minor operational detail here. This choice is the very foundation of your entire global strategy. It sets the stage for everything that comes next, both the amazing successes and the tough challenges. So we end right back where we began, but now you've got a whole new perspective. With this framework in your back pocket, the question of how to enter a new market isn't so intimidating anymore, is it? It's a strategic puzzle, and by analyzing your company, your goals, and the market, you now have the tools you need to solve it.